Well, let me start first by sharing this with you and take your views on it. I'm not sure if you've seen it. This is the municipal electoral officer for Nandom speaking, addressing an MPP crowd.
Observed. My team and I, we are very glad to be here in this glorious occasion. I'll start by introducing my team. I have my returning officer, Elvis Coker. Yeah. And I have my two deputies, James Bele Ire. I hope my pronunciation is getting better. Bele Ire. Yes, he's a deputy returning officer. And I have Peter Abraham. Yes, he's also a deputy returning officer. These are the abled men I work with to help us have successful elections in this constituency. So thank you very much. And myself, I'm Mr. Isaac Akoto Dako. I'm the officer, district officer, election officer for Nandom. Municipal election officer. Thank you. So I've enjoyed my stay so far working with all of you in this municipal, and thank you for your cooperation all the time. I don't have the opportunity to express my gratitude, but today I'll use the opportunity to express my gratitude. Thank you all. All right. You know, for a moment, as a referee, when I picked the mic, I was tempted to say Kukrudu. But as a referee, you know, I have to play by the rules. Yeah, so I pretend. Okay, so my...
Well, I guess you heard him. He says he has to play by the rules, and so he pretends. Well, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I think this is an officer that doesn't even know whether he is a district electoral officer or a municipal district officer. This is a guy who has been posted from headquarters all the way down there, and he still doesn't know whether he's a district electoral officer or whether he's a municipal electoral officer. That's one. The reality, Sena, is the fact that, for me, it's impossible for us to it's actually foolhardy to think that all the electoral officers are politically neutral. I don't believe it. I don't think that's the case. All of them pretend, because they vote, actually. They actually vote for political parties. They do vote. Okay? And so, therefore, one will want to believe that all of them are not politically neutral. And so, for me, I think his difficulty is the fact that he got carried away and the self-conscious exposed him. And he ended up identifying himself. You can see that he was very excited, you know, when he was talking about this. But for me, I think all over the country, there is no politically neutral electoral officer. What does that mean for political parties? I think is this a pastor in Kumasi that sent the advice former President Mahama, I think, over the weekend, that said that tell your polling station agents to open their eyes. Okay? If you want to believe me that there's no politically neutral electoral officer, because they vote. They vote for MPs, they vote for presidents. They do vote. So they have a preference. Therefore, it is always important, Sena, that if you go for an election, it is your executives that at the polling station that you need to make sure they are up to scratch. You can never win an election or you can never steal an election. Nobody in Ghana can steal an election unless he has the tacit support of his opponent's agent. Nobody can steal an election in Ghana until he has the tacit support of his opponent. So if you go to an election and your agents are not up to scratch, they are not properly vetted, they are not properly trained, they don't know what they are doing, Then you worry about people like Mr. Koto, because as for him, with the least opportunity, he'll be biased because he himself says he's pretending. I don't worry about people like Akoto, to be honest with you. I worry about political parties making sure that they have the right people, properly trained, educated by the party, and inspired by the leadership, that no matter what you face, you have the best candidate. You must do you are here because you, of all the people in this party, have been selected to lead at the polling station. Therefore, we all, from the presidential candidate to everybody, to the millions of supporters, you, one person, carry the flag at the polling station, and therefore, you must do everything to make sure people like these characters don't, and including your opponents, don't have an easy way to steal the election. Nobody can steal an election in Ghana without the tacit support of their opponent. That's what I just think.
Despite this,
look, Sena, the electoral commissioner, he started her law practice in the chambers of Darocha. Okay, J.B. Darocha. So Darocha is the kingpin, the founding father of the New Patriotic Party. Let's not kid ourselves. I think I hear a lot of NDC people panic. Oh, they will steal the election. Oh, we have these people here. Look, they can do all they want. Only if NDC will allow them to do so. Okay? Get your acts together. Make sure that your candidates are up to scratch. Your polling station agents are up to scratch. If you insist on making sure that these things happen, I think it's difficult. It's really difficult for your opponent, no matter how biased even the referee is, as this guy is saying. No matter how biased he is, if you know and you have your numbers and you don't sign fictitious pink sheets, nobody, and you are sending your reports on time and it's collated on time, nobody can outwit you in an election. But if your agents are struggling with simple mathematics and your server is down in the first 1 hour, and people are throwing figures, and the Electoral Commission is calling first figure wrong, second figure wrong, third figure wrong, and you still do not have figures to counter that, that is when you lose an election. Focus on ensuring that your systems and your people are up to scratch. For me, that's the most important thing. Anything less is what you worry about. Anything more is what you get excited about.
But should there not be consequences for this kind of slip? I do understand the position you are coming from.
Yeah.
But for this kind of slip where the person stands on stage and makes this kind of admission, there should be consequences, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. I agree with you. The man actually says he's a pretentious officer. He pretends. He is pretending to be neutral because of the rules. That's all.
Ghana's goal.
Okay? So first of all, we also have to admit, has he broken the rule? If the rule of neutrality is something that you want to talk about, then what I'm saying is that in reality, those are the cosmetic parts of arguing, right? That you're supposed to be neutral and you say you pretend you're not neutral. But the reality is that every electoral officer in Ghana is a registered voter, and they vote for presidential candidates and parliamentary candidates. So therefore, in the case of Ghana now, we even have an auditor general or whatever that is sitting in office and still contesting political positions. So I get it that if you openly, all these things happen at the back end, and there's no evidence, okay, that I voted for A or B, because they do vote. I think they do vote in the special voting prior to election. Electoral officers, police, journalists, whatever. At the end of the day, if you come out publicly to say the things that you're saying, then people will lose confidence in you. People will think that you are not, you're biased. And he is even more serious because he is saying he's pretending to be fair and neutral. So in his case, perhaps there can be sanctions. But like I'm saying, Sena, these are the cosmetic side of the reality. The reality is that there is none. There's none of all those officers you see there who are politically neutral. I don't get it because they vote. If you have a police officer that is supposed to keep the peace, deep inside himself, he supports someone. Okay? So my emphasis is really not to look out for those biases or not to focus your victory or your success on those biases. My interest is to ensure that you have a very strong electoral machinery that can withstand those biases and challenge them and ensure that you get a fair result based on the election. That's just my fair. Apple, this gentleman, like I told you, he is so stupid, he does not even know what the difference between a district and municipal electoral officer is. Okay? Even that alone, even that alone should tell you that this guy doesn't deserve to be where he is. He probably got there through political connections or whatever. But at the end of the day, these things are there. They start the Electoral Commission with all manner of people. But should we all fold our hands and go home? No. The best thing is to build a machinery of accountability that ensures that no matter your bias, okay, you can't play fast one on anyone. For me, that's the focus. That should be the focus of everyone who's interested in winning political power in Ghana.
Mm. Well, let's move on to the discussion of the decision of the special prosecutor. The special prosecutor says it's gotten to a point where he realizes that, and after investigations, he's realized that the main issue here is money laundering, and that does not fall within his mandate. So he sends everything to the EOCO. What do you think?
Okay. So, Sena, I don't know. I'll ask you a question, quite strange. Do you remember when this incident happened, when the Office of the Special Prosecutor started an investigation? You and I spoke. And I don't know whether you remember that I mentioned to you one of the preparations you undertake before you conduct such an investigation will be to look at the laws under which you're supposed to conduct the investigation. And that when you find out at the preparation stage that is this a corruption investigation? Is this what investigation? Is it a money laundering investigation? If you have someone physically have money that he cannot account for, okay, it's technically everybody knows what it means from day one. So I told you that before you start a major investigation like this, you needed to first review the law under which you're going to conduct the investigation. And if you found out that you didn't have enough laws that enable you to do that investigation, you reach out to other state agencies that have more jurisdiction over that investigation, and you can sign an MOU and work together. The difficulty I have with this special prosecutor, even though I have supported him all the way through, is the fact that he spent almost getting to 8 months from Ghana to America. He's gone to court and suffered all manner of defeats. And now he tells the nation that, well, I just realized that I don't have the laws to pursue this case. I can't believe what I'm hearing, to be honest with you. I cannot believe that it took him 7 months to notice that he does not have jurisdiction over this case. You know, I'm not a lawyer, and I hope you speak to some of the lawyers about the double jeopardy rule. Okay? If you prosecute someone now and you fail, you can't come back again and use the same set of facts. And in this case, he has even shown his hand that I'm transferring all the documents to EOCO. So I don't know what happens to the jeopardy rule, but you can't try somebody twice. His money has been given to him. This is about the second time. Okay, his money has been given to him. This guy has messed up this investigation. And I will tell you what I think. I don't think it is because the special prosecutor has just found out after 7 months that he doesn't have jurisdiction. Okay? I think the system has realized that, look, where you are going, they don't have confidence in him. I told you the last time. They don't have confidence in him. The judiciary doesn't have confidence in him because I told you the appointment of the special prosecutor itself was for a project. That project is finished. Okay? Anybody who has common sense would have thought twice before putting this guy as the office of special prosecutor, because he and Anas you would have thought that they had antagonized the judiciary. Therefore, he was bound to have problems with the judiciary. But they chose him because they needed him to work out this controversy between Kennedy Dapaah and the vice president over that tape, the Bawumia'S saga. So once he cleared the vice president and botched that investigation, they were done with him. So I can tell you that it has nothing to do with whether he has no jurisdiction or not. They just realized that right now he can't pursue in the court. The courts are antagonized against him. The system is lost confidence, or they are done with him. So he's pushing the case to EOCO. You know the people at EOCO, no? You know them. Okay? Those are political apparatchiks. This case is finished. We wasted money and time for nothing. It's finished. And I think if you look at what is going on, it's better for his own good to resign. The special prosecutor at this point should resign. Now, look at the Charles Bisu case. Okay? He is all over the place. Look, nothing is working for him. And I can tell you it is because he and the judiciary will never see eye to eye. The systems themselves are done with him. They start throwing mud at him, and there's more mud that they are about to throw at him. For me, I think it is better for him to quit. The people who put him there did not mean him to fight corruption. He himself has shown completely incompetent in dealing with issues of investigations. And I think for his own good, it's better for him to quit. Just resign honorably and leave the position.
But it's a matter that he has pursued quite aggressively in the face of pushbacks from even within government circles, among others, and the judiciary. He kept going. So if it's gotten to the point where we realize as a lawyer, if you do an analysis of the case, ultimately, there may be a question raised when you take the matter to court about money laundering and whether or not you had the mandate to even investigate money laundering in the first place or raise money laundering issues. And so you send it to EOCO. Should that be a cause for him to step down?
Let me ask you a question. Is money laundering an honorable conduct or a corrupt conduct? When a public officer, by virtue of his position, is able to open a stash house where he stashes money and uses the security of the state to keep that money in that stash house, is that a corrupt conduct or is that an honorable conduct? So listen, you had you remember the vice president's case where he says, everything boils down to influence peddling, okay, and therefore he doesn't see there's no law that deals with influence peddling. Listen to this. You have a public officer who, given the powers to work as a Minister of Finance is approached by a so-called investor, and that public officer says that, listen, if you want to do this, my interest comes first, okay? My interest, if I value it, is about 20% of whatever investment you are bringing to Ghana. So if you can sort out my interest, I can also help you to corrupt the system, okay, including the vice president. And this is how you can corrupt the vice president. You have to go through his brothers and ensure that you pay him a certain amount of money, and you get his blessing through that influence, and you will get your project out of the way. Is that influence peddling or abuse of office? When you ask that your interest be sorted out ahead of the nation's financial interest, and that you need 20% of the investment, is that conflict of interest or what? Listen, this guy, there's a difference between cause and effect, okay? He can chase aggressively as much as he wants, but the effect of what he's doing is that he's going to lose all cases. And he's a lawyer, so one would expect that he understands these things better. Okay, remember the other day I told you that the fact that you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you'll be a good investigator. You just need a good understanding of the law under which you practice. That's why I told you the last time that over 90% of the police officers across the nation that do investigation are not lawyers. They have a better success rate. So I look at the enthusiasm and bravado and the FBI and whatever. Look, at the end of the day, the FBI is not there to serve Ghana's interests. It's like when you wake up in the morning and your product, something is stolen, and it's very typical of civilians. His property is stolen, and without taking time to find out, do the first investigation himself, he runs straight to the police. And the police then pulls out the sheet of paper and say, write your statement. Okay? So the investigation starts with the quality of information you are able to give the police. If you just rush there because your property is stolen, it's either chances are your property will never be found. Okay? Because you are starting from a very weak premise. So the fact that you rush to the FBI doesn't mean that you're going to get to the end of the matter. The FBI works to look at their side of the investigation. They have no jurisdiction in Ghana. And I see him excited about FBI and FBI. Look, FBI works within the United States, period. There are only special circumstances under which the FBI works outside the United States. When a citizen is kidnapped or something like that affects a citizen of the United States, sometimes they will cross border. There are agreements that they will work with you over a project, okay, over a case. But that case must have merit to the United States before they will commit their taxpayers' money into going into it. They will not wake up and assign an agent to a case because somebody in Ghana is laundering money. No, they will only be interested of the U.S. angle of the investigation, which leads you to your homework to ensure that the local angle is 100% catered for. So, yeah, he can be as excited as it is, but if you look at his frustration with the system, his frustration with the judiciary, the quality of material that he's churning out, I think it's better that he quit. Because this was supposed to be like the foremost anti-corruption agency. And what I'm seeing here is like a joke, to be honest with you.
And then you say the case is finished. Is that a lack of faith in EOCO? Because EOCO has been at this for some time now. I'm sure they've built the capacity, they have the right regulatory framework. EOCO should be one of the last places where you take a case to and somebody says, oh, it is done.
I have faith in EOCO. Let's not make a mistake. I was among the UN contractors that helped establish the EOCO. All their operating procedures, all their tactics, all their software, all of that was stuff that I was part of and I led. I have very good faith in the spirit of the law that established EOCO. But if you look at the kind of people who are EOCO now, they are more politically. Do you remember the A+ recording of the lady who is now in charge of EOCO?
Yes, I do.
At the police headquarters. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
They need to help the president. They need to help this. That's what his mentality is. It's why he got the position. It's the same thing I'm telling you about why the Cecilia Dapaah got his position. Kennedy was threatening that he was going to expose ministers and top-level government people, and he had the video to prove it. Cecilia Dapaah was an arts lawyer, and they are the ones who have kept the video from the public view for over 2-3 years. They realized Kennedy was going to run for president and realized that the vice president was facing a risk, especially because Kennedy was waiving that. So the person who was defending that act was the one who was appointed as a special prosecutor. And guess what? He quickly put the report together and released it 1 month before the primaries to ensure that the vice president had a clean bill of lading to ensure that he went into the primaries. That's what happened. It's the same thing that is happening at the EOCO. The people who are there are praise singers for the system. Okay? You saw the almost love letter-looking resignation Cecilia Dapaah wrote to the president. These are bodies. Okay? And that's his appointees. They worship the president. Look, first of all, I don't know, but if I was at EOCO, the fact that ONC brings me all these documents and dockets doesn't mean I'm going to wake up and go to court with it. Okay? Even if it comes from God, excuse my language, even if you have information that comes from God, you need to start it all over again. EOCO cannot just wake up and say, according to this, according to that. You have to establish those facts by yourself. If they say the FBI, so this investigation, what the special prosecutor has sent to EOCO is only good for the purposes of information. That's it. EOCO will have to start all over again. And I'm saying that considering that they have gone and lost, not once, but twice at the court, the same case, the same candidate, you will see that the lawyers will do, this is double jeopardy. You can't try the woman twice. After you failed here, you have now shifted the case here. It's the same case. It's the same documents, the same evidence. Look, they're going to go all like that, and we are going to waste more taxpayers' money. I don't waste my time on these kind of gimmicks. They're just playing the nation. All that is going is a circus. They're just playing the nation. It will end nowhere. This investigation will drag to election time. Everybody will forget about it. They will probably lose office and leave that and hope that another government will take care of it. That's what is going to happen. And by that time, what do you call it? All that money would have found itself dipped into the system, and that's it. You're not going to find any money anymore, and that's it, my brother. That's it.
I see.
You remember this gentleman? What's his name? Amwatin, right?
Yes. Amwatin
and Neokai. These guys were convicted. Amwatin was convicted, served his term. Have you heard whether a single of his properties were confiscated? No. He's back. He's enjoying it. There have been almost 3-4 different governments that have come and gone. I think this is just a waste of everybody's time, Sena. It's waste. The prosecutor should resign. He has wasted our time. He has wasted our money. He doesn't have the confidence of even the judiciary. He's going to be frustrated. He is frustrated. The quality of his work is not high enough. So I think it's better if he quits. It will save the nation a lot of agony. He will save himself a lot of credibility. I don't think he's a bad person. I just think that he himself should have read why was pinpointed and selected. He is one of them. So let's leave him to his demons. I have no sympathy for him. I support him. I supported him when he was starting the investigation. But I kept telling you that he needed to review the law first. And he's taking us on this 8-month, 7-month ride only to come and tell us that he now found the law. Okay? Money laundering. Look, Sena, if you look at the current law, the current anti-money laundering law, if you are driving a car, a Lamborghini on the street, and an officer asks you, who owns this car? He says, me. How did you buy it? The moment you can't explain, it is captured under the money laundering law. If you have $1 million in your house, and from day one, this officer kept telling us that the woman cannot account for the amount of money in her possession. Didn't you hear that 1 million times?
Yes.
Under the law, is money laundering. So from day one, he knew, or should have known, that this case bordered on money laundering. As for his dismissal that this has nothing to do with corruption, abuse of office, I just want to leave it. This is all like a joke. To be honest with you, this is all like a joke.
Well, I wanted to take your view on the ECOWAS issue, but I think we'll table it properly tomorrow so that we can have a comprehensive discussion of the decision of those 3 countries and what the implications are for ECOWAS. And we'll be glad if you can join us and share your views on it.
I enjoy talking to you any day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Raymond Archer is an investigative journalist. Now he's more into risk analysis. Speaking to us this morning. Now, he is saying that the case, as far as the Cecilia Dapaah matter, is finished. This is what I will do. Let me just deal with this, and I'll come to you and I'll ask you, what do you think about the decision to move the matter from Office of Special Prosecutor to EOCO? Do you agree that it means it finishes the case, that the case is going nowhere after it is moved from the OSP's office to the EOCO? What do you think? Is that the end of it for you? We'll take your views on it. This one says, okay, so before that, have you completed junior high school? Were you not posted to your preferred school? Were you not posted at all? Do you require a solid foundation